Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we are continuing to study the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, entitled Change of Heart. We are going to see from text 13 today. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-vaibhava Swaminati Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-vaibhava Swaminati Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We saw that a question is raised here by Shukadeva Goswami himself. What about others who may think of worshipping the demigods? Maybe they have some material desires, so they are thinking maybe can we approach Krishna or can we approach some demigods? So he is introducing the idea of worshipping the demigods and what are all the different results one will get by worshipping different demigods. So we had a full discussion about what are the pros and cons of demigod worship and why demigod worship is not the proper worship. We had a full discussion on that. And then Srila Shukadeva Goswami very clearly says that akama sarva kamova moksha kama udharadihi tivrena bhakti yogena ejeta purusham param. So he establishes that the best solution in any situation is to worship the Supreme Lord with great intensity. Tivrena, the word is being used. So we had a full discussion on that. And after that, Shukadeva Goswami, he says that even the demigods demigod worshippers should also take to Vishnu Bhakti, because that's the best thing to be done. And again in the verse number 12, he further emphasizes that even the worshippers of who are worshipping Brahman, who are Jnanis, they are able to overcome, by the worship they overcome the effect of, they also raise themselves to the worship of, they also raise themselves to worship the lotus feet of the Lord, engage themselves in devotional service. So why not the demigod worshippers also? One point not to forget, very clearly Shukadeva Goswami emphasizes that, but all these things can happen by the association of a pure devotee. The pure devotee is a key factor here. So far we have seen this. Now having gone through that, now this is a very interesting part here. Now Shaunaka is raising further questions here, and also we will see Shaunaka Rishi has got further realizations, which is very amazing. We will discuss about that. Shaunaka uvacha idi abhyahritam raja nishamya bharatarshava kimanyat prishtavan bhuyo vayyasakim rishim kavim. Shaunaka said, the son of Vyasadeva, Sri Shukadeva Goswami, was a highly learned sage and was able to describe things in a poetic manner. What did Maharaj Parikshit again inquire from him after hearing all that he had said? So here, Shaunaka Rishi, he says that he was very much inquisitive to know what was further discussion that happened between Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. And he points out that how Shukadeva Goswami is so poetic in his rendering. And we know Bhagavatam is known for the very high level of grammar and poetry. Shukadeva Goswami has used the choicest of words and glorified the Lord in a very profound way. So here Shaunaka Rishi is addressing that. So Prabhupada goes on to explain about 26 qualities of a devotee in this purport, and where poetry is part of it. A devotee becomes a kavi by empowered by the Lord in his glorification. Okay. So Prabhupada, he points out, after having explained, out of these 26 prominent features of a devotee, as described by Krishna's Kaviraja in his Chaitanya Charitamrita, the qualification of being poetic is especially mentioned herein in relation to Shukadeva Goswami. The presentation of Srimad Bhagavatam by his recitation is the highest poetic contribution. He was a self-realized learned devotee, learned sage. In other words, he was a poet amongst the sages. So this is a special quality of a devotee. And okay, we will go to the next verse. Text 14. Etachushrushatam vidvan sutanor bhashitum kata harikato kato dharka satam syu sadasi dhruvam. O learned Suta Goswami, please continue to explain such topics to us because we are all eager to hear. Besides that, topics which result in the discussion of Lord Hari should certainly be discussed in the assembly of devotees. This is a very interesting observation here. We have to see here that Suta Goswami says two things here. Satamsyu sadasi dhruvam. So he says that this Krishna Katha should be discussed in the assembly of devotees. And he also shows that great enthusiasm which is required to hear Krishna Katha. The speaker becomes enlivened by seeing the audience with such enthusiasm. Speaker wants to share so many information, seeing the enthusiasm of the student. We can many times see Prabhupada also has pointed out how when there is a potent speaker and a potent hearer, then the Krishna Katha is very enlivening. Krishna Katha naturally it's enlivening, but when there is a potent speaker and potent hearer, it becomes more enlivening. And Prabhupada always gives an example. When the husband is potent and the wife is potent, then a child will be born. That's the point. So this is the time Prabhupada is pointing out that this all the spiritual subject matters, specifically Mahabharata, Ramayana, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, should be discussed in the association of the devotees. And Prabhupada points out that how Mahabharata is not accepted by some of the so-called followers of the Vedas. They discard it as some story, but actually it's also part of the Vedas, and which we discussed quite some time back how Mahabharata is considered to be the fifth Veda. Okay. So Prabhupada points out that in this purport. So Prabhupada points out that is the way of spiritualizing the civic activities of human society. Men have inclinations for studying history books and many other mundane literatures, stories, fiction, dramas, magazines, newspapers, etc. So let such inclinations be dovetailed with the transcendental service of the Lord, and all men will turn to the topics relished by all devotees. The propaganda that the Lord is impersonal and form as impersonal, that he has no activity and that he is a dumb stone without any name and form, has encouraged people to become godless, faithless demons. And the more they deviate from the transcendental activities of the Lord, the more they become accustomed to mundane activities that only clear their path to hell instead of return them home back to God. And we can see there are so many politicians, so many so-called philosophers, so many mundane writers. They have indoctrinated this kind of a idea that the Lord has got no form, it's just a stone, like that. So that has created great impact in the society and made people turn towards atheistic views. That's what Srila Prabhupada is pointing out here in this purport. See, Srimad Bhagavatam begins from the history of the Pandavas, and yet Srimad Bhagavatam is said to be the Paramahamsa Samhita with necessary politics and social activities, or the Vedic literature meant for the topmost transcendentalist, and it describes Parajnanam, the highest transcendental knowledge. Pure devotees of the Lord are all Paramahamsas, and they are like the swans who know the art of sucking milk out of a mixture of milk and water. Krishna's place, Goloka Vrindavan, that is also spread everywhere. How that Goloka Vrindavan becomes spread? As soon as there is devotee. Yes, Tatra Tishtami Narada Yatra Gayanti Madbhaktaha, from the Padma Purana. Krishna says, Naham Tishtami Vaikunte Nacha Yoginam Hridayeshu. I do not stay in Vaikuntha Loga, within the heart of the yogis. Tatra Tishtami Narada Yatra Gayanti Madbhakta. I stay there where my devotees are chanting about me, about my glories. This is the process. Immediately, Goloka Eva Nivasat Akilatma Bhutam. So lecture September 21, 1973, Bombay. This shows that you have to hear in the association of devotees. Any other famous verse you think where it is mentioned in the Bhagavatam that we have to hear in the association of the devotees. Satang prasangan mavirya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana kataha. Again, Bhagavatam emphasizes so that by the association of devotees, satang prasanga, mama virya, the glories about the Lord's wonderful acts, his deeds should be heard. Okay. Now, here in this particular purport, in this particular shloka, text 15, Srila Prabhupada now points out about the greatness of Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Savai Bhagavato Raja Pandaveyo Maharatah Bhalak Kridana Kaikridan Krishna Kridam Ya Adade. Maharaj Parikshit, the grandson of the Pandavas, was very high, was from his very childhood a great devotee of the Lord. Even while playing with dolls, he used to worship Lord Krishna by imitating the worship of the family deity. So this we also saw in the first canto, right? Here it was mentioned how Maharaj Parikshit was so much absorbed in Krishna consciousness right from being in the womb. Because he was a devotee right from being in the womb. It's a great Mahabhagavata. Pandavas, all being devotees of the Lord, certainly venerated family deities in the royal palace for worship. Children who appear in such families fortunately generally imitate such worship of the deities, even in the way of childhood play. So Prabhupada points out his own life. By the grace of Lord Sri Krishna, we had the chance of being born in a Vaishnava family, and in our childhood we imitated the worship of Lord Krishna by imitating our father. Our father encourages us in all respects to observe all functions such as the Ratha Yatra and Dola Yatra ceremonies, and he used to spend money liberally for distributing prasadam to us children and our friends. Our spiritual master, who also took his birth in a Vaishnava family, got all inspirations from his great Vaishnava father, Thakura Bhakti-vaibhava. That is the way of all lucky Vaishnava families. The celebrated Mirabai was a staunch devotee of Lord Krishna as the great lifter of Govardhana hill. She was also a devotee from a very young age, so that's why Prabhupada points out that. Okay. Now, Prabhupada again, he points out, he says, according to Jiva Goswami, Maharaj Parikshit must have heard about the childhood pastimes of Lord Krishna at Vrindavan, for he used to imitate the pastimes with his young playmates. According to Sridhara Swami, Maharaj Parikshit used to imitate the worship of the family deity by elderly members. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also confirms the viewpoint of Jiva Goswami. So, accepting either of them, Maharaj Parikshit was naturally inclined to Lord Krishna from his very childhood. He might have imitated either of the above mentioned activities, and all of them established his great devotion from his very childhood, a symptom of a Mahabhagavata. Such Mahabhagavatas are called Nitya Siddhas, or souls liberated from birth. But there are also others who may not be liberated from birth, but who develop a tendency for devotional service by association, and they are called Sadhana Siddhas. There is no difference between the two in the ultimate issue, and so the conclusion is that everyone can become a sadhana siddha, a devotee of the Lord, simply by association with the pure devotees. The concrete example is our great spiritual master Sri Narada Muni. Okay. Yeah, Prabhupada in one of the lecture, now he was pointing out about a priest who was trying to preach. This has happened in the UK. It's a famous one. I'm not going to read the entire one, but I just want to make a point that Srila Prabhupada was pointing out that how some people do not understand about, they do not understand about hell. So Srila Prabhupada was pointing out that when the preacher was explaining about how the hell will be, how the hell is so dark, and it is very, there will not be much enjoyment and all those things. Still, some of those people who are hearing it couldn't relate to it much. But when the preacher said that there will be no newspapers, and they were all very upset. So they said, so Prabhupada was pointing out that, you see, this is the problem in this modern world. Everybody is interested to hear garbage, all kinds of nonsense. So, very nicely puts it. You can hear that lecture by Srila Prabhupada. Okay, I'll go to the next one. So this is an interesting one. Prabhupada, in this lecture, he's pointing out that how important it is that children needs to be educated in Krishna consciousness right from young age. And whatever we teach the children in young age, they just absorb whatever that we say. Whatever the elders do, they just simply follow it. So Prabhupada says, a hog can beget children twice in a year, and each time more than 1 dozen. So you cannot compete with that. It is not possible. Sometimes you beget 2 children twice, but that is not competition. The competition is that you make your children God conscious. Give them. They are playing with Krishna. At our new Vrindavan, Dwarkadisha, he was given by his father toys. I was present. And he did not touch the toys. He said, it's Maya. Yes, it is Maya. So everything should be taught from childhood. That is Prahlad Maharaj's instruction. Kaumara acharet pragnyo dharman bhagavataniha. So from the very beginning, there is no teaching, there is no God consciousness. Then what will be the result? You may send in a very decorated university, but the result will be hippies. That's all. You cannot expect anything more. You cannot expect. There was one boy who was in Salem. Mother and father were so much pushing the boy to go for higher studies to London. And here the boy was very simple boy. He was a simple person, was God conscious and always had good habits. But when he returned back from London, the parents were, coming and then meeting our temple president, and then they were crying to him, saying that, oh, please, Swamiji, do something with his life. Nowadays he's drinking, he's smoking, he's having so many bad habits. So the temple president told that particular family, I told you before sending. Well, even if he had gone to London and took association of devotees there, that's a different story. But the whole idea, that's the whole thing. The modern culture, the modern university, there is no good high character values are being given. They are being given only two things. How to earn money and how to, as the teachers of Prahlad Maharaj, Shanda and Amarka, they teach how to be very political and how in a very expert way you can cheat and then you can exploit others. This is what you learn from mundane education. And we can see the story of big professors, so many big scientists, many other respectable personalities. They don't have such spotless character, which is the important ingredient of any education, or it is the essence of all the education. We can say one should have a spotless character. So if that is not developed, that such an education is useless education. That's what Srila Prabhupada is pointing out here. So Srila Prabhupada is continuing. So teach them from the very beginning how to become Krishna conscious. Then you will find nice population, beautiful population, peaceful atmosphere, social condition, very nice, systematic. Everyone is happy. And within happiness and with that happiness, they are all chanting Krishna conscious, Krishna, Hare Krishna. Every house there is dingling of bells. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Make Vaikuntha. This is my request. Teach from the very beginning of life, just like Balak Krida. Balak Krida Nakai Kriya. By playing, he is becoming Krishna conscious. So in our Dallas you go, make all this, save all these children, those who have come to your shelter. It is the duty of the father and mother. It is the duty of guardian to save the dependents from the impending danger of death, repeated birth and death. So if you cannot save these children, then it is useless. Save them. Srimad Bhagavatam, on the same verse, 2:13, 14 to 15, May 13, 1972, Los Angeles. Prabhupada in this purport also speaks about Sadhana Siddha and Nitya Siddha. Again in the lecture he talks about that. He gives an interesting point. He quotes this song, Gaurangera Shangi Gane Nitya Siddha Bholimane Shejai Brajendra Nandana Pash Gauda Mandala Bhumi Jeba Jane Chintamani Tarahai Brajabhume Bash. So Nitya Siddha means he has no chance to forget Krishna. That is called Nitya Siddha. And Sadhana Siddha means by following the regulative principles, the rules and regulations, one revives his Krishna consciousness. Both things are Siddha, because you cannot revive Krishna consciousness without being Krishna consciousness, without being Krishna conscious. It may be covered. So Nitya Siddha means he does not get covered by the influence of material nature about his natural devotion, tendency to serve Krishna. He never becomes covered. This is the difference. Krishna gives him chance to get birth in such a family, just like Parikshit Maharaj, that he never gets a chance of forgetting Krishna. So one who does not get a chance of forgetting Krishna is called Nitya Siddha. This is the difference. Once Srila Prabhupada was asked, Srila Prabhupada said, never I remember a time I forgot Krishna. Srila Prabhupada was again a Paramhamsa, pure devotee who came from this spiritual world to save the fallen conditioned souls. And Sadhana Siddha means one has forgotten Krishna. That is the position of all materialistic men. Every one of us forgotten. But even though forgotten, the thing is there. It has to be awakened only. And the awakening process is hearing. Just like you are out of your family touch for many years. Practically you are forgotten. Now if somebody comes to you, some friend, Do you remember your child when he came out? He was such little, and now he's grown up. Now he is this, that, so on. So if for some days this topics of the family is, then again he becomes attracted. Let me go and see. It is natural. Similarly, anyone who has forgotten Krishna, somehow or other, the cause may be so many, but if he is given chance to hear about Krishna, Shinvatam Swakata Krishna. Let's go back to our text. Okay, one other interesting story I would like to share about how in the young age, when children are given Krishna consciousness, when they are given basic things to follow, they take it up, and if they have sufficient sukruti and if they are very pure, they may show great symptoms of love of God. It is very possible, very much possible. We do not know. We should never underestimate the potency of bhakti. There is an incident about a young boy who was son of a pujari this was several years back in Jagannath Puri. Near Jagannath Puri, we have this Alarnath temple. Alarnath was worshipped by there are so many brahmanas who were worshipping. There was one brahmana who was worshipping the deity there, and he had to go out of the village. So there was sometimes there was some money that was required to maintain the family, but the puja has to continue. So what he did, he taught his son how to offer the bhoga to the Lord. So he said that, here is the plate, here are all the preparations, you come put it in front of the Lord, and then you please pray to the Lord, my dear Lord, please accept this offering. With devotion you offer to the Lord will accept, and after the offering is over, you take the plate back. And Krishna will eat, like that he has also told his son. So he said, and then he left. So this boy's name is Sriniketan. He actually followed what his father was saying, advice the father gave. He went in front of the altar. Mother made a plate with all the bhoga, and then we used to go in front of the Alarnath deity, four-handed form. Just to give another interesting insight into that, this Alarnath form is a very special form. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whenever he went in front of the deity there, this is what I heard from his own Sohotra Maharaj. So he used to, he showed even greater ecstasy than when he was in front of Lord Jagannath. You can see whenever you are seeing Jagannath from the Dvajastambha, his hands used to be marked, remember, because of the ecstasy. So, but when you also remember going to this Alarnath, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you can see his entire whole body was marked when he was offering obeisance like that, because he was showing greater ecstasy. Because it said that particular form of Krishna in Alarnath was the Krishna in Vrindavan. When the gopis were searching for Krishna, at one point of time, suddenly the Lord showed himself with four-handed form. Like Narayana, he changed his form. And the gopis were, they came in front of Krishna and they said, "Oh, where is our Krishna?" They couldn't find it. It is the same person. So because they were very much particular with that particular form of the Lord. But then again, the same Lord, when Srimati Radharani came in front of Krishna, he couldn't hide himself. So that Alarnath is the same Krishna who is there. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he saw, he became more ecstatic. Okay, this is a side point. Anyway, so what happened? This boy was offering to the Lord this bhoga, and he offered, and then he was waiting. And after that, he just came to see that the Lord, he was very upset that the Lord is not, all the bhoga is there in the plate. So he's just with great devotion and with very great innocence, he was just pleading the Lord, "My dear Lord, please, my father said you will eat. You please take." He just went on crying and requesting the Lord to eat this bhoga. And the Lord is, he's a Bhakta Vatsala. Anybody with such sincerity and love, if he offers to the Lord accepts it. The Lord sees the bhakti in that. So the Lord started eating. So every time he will come and then offer, the Lord will eat. So the father returned back and he was asking, "Where is the Mahaprasad? What is going on?" He said, "I don't know. I am giving to your son full plate. He's going, offering, and every time he comes back, he says, 'Lord ate,' and then he gives the empty plate." So the father became very curious, what is going on? So he just again that day his son went to keep the offering for the Lord. So again he was offering, and then he saw the Lord really coming and then honoring the bhoga. That day also hot kheer was there. So when he was trying to take that hot kheer, this father of this son, he came and then stopped the Lord from taking it. He just stopped it. And then you can see that the kheer was spilled in different places, and the marks are there, it seems, in Alarnath deity. So anyway, so what happened? So, then the father was actually a very ritualistic man. So the deity said that, you are expert in mantras and tantras, but your son has got so much devotion. And anybody who has devotion, I respond. And no, don't eat. We don't. He was very gross. He was saying that don't eat. But we do not have anything to eat. What we will eat? What we will do? You cannot do like this. You are just a statue. Like that he was speaking to the Lord. And then the Lord was very upset with this pujari. And actually what happened after that incident, the Lord said that, your son has got great devotion. And I respond to the devotion of my devotees. So the Lord made an arrangement that because the ocean is very nearby, ocean swept that entire village. The Lord was angry because they all became very materialistic pujaris. So then what happened? Then only the young boy was there. Then the Lord boy continued worship of the deity. So anyway, the point here is that the Lord actually, when someone offers him with love and devotion, the Lord is very pleased. And we can see the young boy who had that faith, that strong faith that the Lord, when you offer the food to the Lord will accept it when it is offered with devotion. And the boy became a great devotee and went on worshipping the Lord. So this was an amazing incident. So we can see like that here, the Parikshit Maharaj was such an exceptional devotee right from young age. And the great opportunities available for everyone to pick up this pure devotion from young age. That's why we see when in the Gurukula, children play games, which also very much, by those games, they can remember Krishna, they chant Krishna's name. In every game, they have some or other, so they're connected with the Lord. So in playfully also, they remember the Lord. In so many activities they perform, and it's easy for them to remember the Lord. But to ask somebody to come and do some service when they are grown up, we have to quote from Vedanta Sutra, you have to say so much of logic, this and that. But for children, it's very simple. And that's why if we guide them properly, give them proper direction right from young age, and they could become stalwart devotees. Stalwart devotees means those devotees who can help others to become Krishna conscious and share this bliss of Krishna consciousness with others. So that's why Srila Prabhupada wanted this Gurukula. And through this Gurukula system, he wanted to revive and save the lives of so many souls who are at present being slaughtered in the modern schools. Okay, now let's go to text 16. Vaiyasakishcha Bhagavan Vasudeva Parayanaha Urghaya Gunodhara Satang Syurhi Samagame. Shukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, was also full in transcendental knowledge and was a great devotee of Lord Krishna, son of Vasudeva. So, there must have been discussion of Lord Krishna, who is glorified by great philosophers and in the company of great devotees. So, we also saw this before. Whenever two pure devotees meet, there is always discussion about Krishna. So, Prabhupada says, Maharaj Parikshit was a great devotee of the Lord from his very birth. And so was Shukadeva Goswami. Both of them were on the same level. Although it appeared that Maharaj Parikshit was a great king accustomed to royal facilities, whereas Shukadeva Goswami was a typical renouncer of the world, so much so that he did not even put a cloth on his body. Superficially, Maharaj Parikshit and Shukadeva Goswami might seem to be opposites, but basically they were both unalloyed pure devotees of the Lord. When such devotees are assembled together, there can be no topics save discussions of the glories of the Lord or Bhakti Yoga. In the Bhagavad Gita also, when there were talks between the Lord and his devotee Arjuna, there could not be any topic other than Bhakti Yoga. However, the mundane scholars may speculate on it in their own ways. The use of the word cha after Vaiyasaki suggests, according to Srila Jiva Goswami, that both Shukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit were of the same category, settled long before. Although one is a renunciant and another one is a king, they took different roles. One is, as Prabhupada concludes here, as a master, and another one as a disciple. But both of them were on a very high platform. Okay, so this is the thing, what the devotee does, the devotee always, he preaches, Machitta Madghata Prana Bodhayantah Parasparam Katayantascha Mam Nityam Tushyanticha Ramanticha. So the devotees, whenever the devotees meet, what do they discuss? There is no Prajalpa Katha. There is only Krishna Katha. They always speak about the name, form, glories of the Lord, or they are thinking about how to improve in self-realization. I just want to share with you two amazing disciples of Srila Prabhupada. They met, and their discussion goes on like this between them. So this devotee is sharing with another devotee, saying that Maharaj, I'm seriously thinking of scaling down. Scaling down means, already, it was His Holiness Dhanavir Maharaj. Once he met, he came to Baroda, he was meeting His Holiness Bhakti-vaibhava Swami. It was, some discussion was going on from philosophical camp. They were just meeting. Maharaj was going for some preaching program. He was in another preaching program. But I was just surprised to see the discussion, how the more their devotees become surrendered and they serve in the mission of Srila Prabhupada. Their consciousness is to write more books, preach more, make more devotees, always think of Krishna and inspire each other with Krishna conscious topics. And also, another thing not to forget, there are do's and don'ts. And Maharaj, already Dhanavir Maharaj, he eats very less. And he was saying that, Maharaj, I'm seriously thinking of scaling down. That means he wants to reduce further. So then Maharaj is saying, Maharaj, you already your eating is very less. What is it that you're going to scale down? So the discussion was like this. So we were just surprised. Oh my God, how much they are advanced and how much they want to absorb themselves more in Krishna conscious activities. So this is the sign of advanced devotees, and they are always relishing hearing Krishna Katha. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto, nice discussion between Lord Krishna and Uddhava. There is Smaranta Smarayantascha Mito Ghauga Harang Harim Bhaktya Sanjataya Bhaktya Vibhart Utpulakam Tanum. The devotees of the Lord constantly discuss the glories of the personality of Godhead among themselves. Thus, they constantly remember the Lord and remind one another of His qualities and pastimes. In this way, by their devotion to the principles of Bhakti Yoga, the devotees please the personality of Godhead, who takes away from them everything inauspicious. Being purified of all impediments, the devotees awaken to pure love of God, and thus, even within this world, their spiritualized bodies exhibit symptoms of transcendental ecstasy, such as standing of the hairs on end. Okay, now we can see here there is an interesting. Now the Bhagavatam is going to show an amazing aspect here, or to say that Saunaka Rishi, who is profound with so much realizations, he is going to share what are his realizations. He is going to share the Shukadeva Goswami and other rishis assembled there. Now we may wonder how can a student talk like this? His teacher is there, spiritual master is there. The student is now speaking. It apparently appears that he is speaking some amazing philosophy, which when you hear that, it makes you spellbound. You're completely stuck with wonder. Wow, what are these amazing points? So we can see this is the parampara. Parampara means the disciple hears with great attention from the spiritual master, and then he has his own realizations also, but never a single thought is there in his mind that I am superior to my guru. Never, ever. Always he thinks himself to be subservient to his spiritual master. Whatever his words, whatever his deeds, whatever his activities, everything he dedicates to his spiritual master. So many times we hear also, we can see it apparently appears that Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj will not speak much. Well, he was preaching, but Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur used to expound the philosophy, he used to smash all the misconceptions, but always Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur felt himself to be a very insignificant soul in front of his spiritual master. He felt that I know nothing, but he knew so much. So this is the glory. The disciple is empowered by the spiritual master to glorify more. Apparently also it may appear that he may have more realizations. Even Krishna will empower him to speak more. But then it shows that's how the parampara is. That shows the glory of the parampara, isn't it? We can see our own Srila Prabhupada. He did amazing things. You can see in one purpose Srila Prabhupada writes that Nityananda, Lord Nityananda, he empowers someone to, in one of the Chaitanya Charitamrita purpose, Prabhupada writes that he can even preach more than Lord Nityananda. So how do you understand that? That means the Lord is empowering. But nevertheless, the devotee always is subservient. This is the mood. That's how in parampara we should never think that we are great. Now I know. Now I know, now I can sing, now I can play, now I can quote many shlokas, now I can analyze this philosophy, I know how to manage this, how whatever the qualities we have, it is all the mercy of our spiritual master. It is all the reflection of the Supreme Personality of, from his abode of wonderful qualities. There is a spark of reflection that is seen on us. And the Lord is, if we remain as instruments, the Lord will empower us to do so many things. The Lord will do so many things through us. Isn't it? So that should be our consciousness. So here we see Shaunaka Rishi is speaking amazing points. He's now speaking about how when somebody does not take to Krishna consciousness, when someone is wasting his life, what is his situation? He very nicely analyzes this whole situation. So we can see Shaunaka Rishi is with profound realization, and you can see his enthusiasm. We can see the spirit with which he is speaking. Strong speaking, speaking strongly in the service of Krishna. No hodgepodge things. He is very clearly presenting what should be done and what are the bad effects. What are the good effects? What should be done? What should not be done? How a person should become Krishna conscious. How one should not waste his life. He is comparing each and every sense. He is comparing the eyes. He is comparing the ears. He is comparing the tongue. He is comparing the hands. He is comparing the legs. If it is not engaged in Krishna's service, what are the consequences? So it's really Shukadeva Goswami. Shaunaka Rishi, Suta Goswami also is inspired by seeing how Shaunaka Rishi is so fired up. So it inspires. So we can see, Srila Prabhupada also, many times he used to hear from his disciples their own realizations. He used to sit in the class given by his students, by his disciples. So this is all Krishna conscious activity. So that's what we see here. So we may not be surprised. Oh, how can is it Maryada? It's not Maryada Vyatikrama. It is not Maryada Vyatikrama. Rather, the spiritual master is very happy to see the progress of his disciple, how someone becomes Krishna conscious. So never ever they think that now he's growing. That is all in the mundane world. Mundane world, they will not reveal something. Or you can say, I remember also there was one music teacher. He was not so. He has so much talent, but I was seeing that that he is not revealing some things because if I now tell him all these mantras, then within very short span of time, I will lose my opportunity as a teacher. So little by little I will reveal him, so that my class will be extended. I will get my monthly salary. But the pure devotees, they in the dreams also they do not have such thoughts. They just share about Krishna consciousness. But also they see how much to say, how much this person can digest. They also see that. And when someone is very potent and very much interested, so they just open it, open, and they just give whatever need to be learned. So that's the whole point. Okay. Now we will see the theme of these verses. Shaunaka Rishi, after glorifying the process of devotional service, now condemns those who reject the process of devotional service and inquires to know the response of Shukadeva Goswami to the questions posed by Maharaj Parikshit. So even before we start to discuss on these topics, I would like to see a couple of quotes by Srila Prabhupada on the previous two verses. Prabhupada was speaking about the children should be made Krishna conscious. We need children in young age to take up Krishna consciousness. So also there is a lot of things. One point I missed to explain that the Garbhadana Samskara also plays a vital role in the society. When the parents are very responsible, the children born will also be responsible. Sometimes it may be, that's how it's generally, through samskaras and training, we can make the children Krishna conscious. So at least as a parent, we will be, at the end of the day, we will be happy. I did my service. I followed sincerely the responsibility that was given by the Lord. I was not a spaced out person. Irresponsibly, I didn't lead my life. I try to educate my children in Krishna consciousness. I try to give him whatever is possible. So that's why Prabhupada is speaking about, also when it just speaks about Gurukula, also the girls also have to be trained nicely. So Prabhupada says in India, therefore, early marriage is recommended according to Shastra. According to Vedic civilization, a girl before attaining puberty must be married. There are so many injunctions about that. And the responsibility is of the father, or in the absence of father, the elderly members of or brother. It is called Kanyadhaya. Kanyadhaya means it is an obligation. You cannot avoid it. You can avoid the marriage of your son, but you cannot avoid the marriage of your daughter. That is Vedic injunction. Of course, when the marriage of daughter is there must be one boy. That is understood. But special care is taken for daughter's marriage. some way or other. If he has no money, he begs from friends and gets his daughter married. This is the system. Because there is time, it will be hankering. There will be a hankering for sex. So if there is ready husband, then the girl is sent. That is the psychology. So our point is that as this hankering after sex or the opposite sex is natural, doesn't require to be educated. Similarly, Krishna Bhakti is also natural. It is not that because we have established this temple and people are here. Of course, there is practice, but that practice is also very simple. Simply you have to hear, that's all. It doesn't require any gymnastic. Just like in the other yogic process, Hatha Yoga, you have to learn so many things. Yama, Niyama, Dhyana, Dharana, Asana, Pranayama, so many things. But here, there is no need. Simply sit down and hear about Krishna. That's all. Prabhupada is giving stress for hearing about Krishna. Text 17. Ayuhu harati vaipungsam udhyan astang chayan asau tasyarte yakshano nita uttama shloka vartaya. Both by rising and by setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all-good personality of Godhead. Immediately, he speaks, Shaunaka Rishi, he speaks about how the life has to be utilized, how the human form of life is very valuable, and how the life has to be utilized in Krishna's service. And you can also see he's showing drastic difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. For a non-devotee, the sun captures his life. For a devotee, does not capture his life. How it is, we will try to understand. The purport Prabhupada is dealing with all these things. So don't waste human form of life. Prabhupada gives a famous quote, time and tide wait for no man. So time indicated by the sunrise and the sunset will be uselessly wasted if such time is not properly utilized for realizing identification of spiritual values. There is also an interesting proverb you might have heard. It's called procrastination is the thief of time. Procrastination, Dirgha Sutri. You tend to postpone everything. Yes. Shall I give it to you after 2 days? After 3 days? We all have experience in our life, Anything you keep postponing like that. Many times you say, sir, please come this Sunday to our temple. We have a nice festival. Actually, I have to go to Chennai. Next time I will come. Then he postpones, and then the next time he is not able to come because already he left this body. This Dirgha Sutri was postponing, and because of his procrastination, he lost the human form of life. So it happens in some sense. That's why we should, with respect to spiritual matters, we should never postpone. Shubhasya Shigram. Many times we hear that. No? What is that Shubhasya? Going to a cinema. That should be done Shigram. Quickly should be done. Going and watch T20 match. Or immediately downloading some nonsense music. So many things we can do. We don't waste time and we are super fast. But when it comes to spiritual life, we are... So actually, these are all the topics, my son will, when he's old, at the time he can get into these things. But now, this is the peak time of his career. He has to study, he has to graduate, he has to get into some big multinational company. So like that, waste the human form of life. So one has to be very, very intelligent, not waste the human form of life. Okay. So Prabhupada discusses that, and so Srila Prabhupada very much he speaks that so one should rather spend his time in trying to know the name, form, glories of the Lord. Okay, here is a nice analogy Prabhupada is giving in this purport. He speaks, as a highly potent drug injected intravenously acts at once on the whole body, the transcendental topics of the Lord injected through the ear by the pure devotee of the Lord can act very efficiently. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining that whatever endeavors you are taking in devotional service is never going to be at loss. So even a small amount of service you perform is going to fetch you a great benefit. So don't postpone. Don't waste the time. Already your time is ticking. Actually, a time bomb is set for us. We all have an internal time bomb. Anytime this bomb can explode. Tick, 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 tick. Every second. The time bomb is set for us. So, this time bomb is working. So anytime we can blast. For Parikshit Maharaj, he had 7. At least he knew 7 days. But for us, we do not know. So we should be doubly serious than Parikshit Maharaj. Why? Because that's our situation. Our situation is very bad. We do not know what's going to happen to us 7 minutes or 7 seconds or 7 hours or 70 years. Who knows? We are extremely risking our lives. If you are not engaging in Krishna's service, it's a great risk. This is the worst of the gambling, we should say. What a gambling. So Prabhupada, one lecture, he says that taking to Krishna consciousness is a very intelligent way of gambling. He says that there is no loss. Somebody may say, oh, you dedicated your life to Krishna service. What about your family, education, this and that and that? What about that? No, it's all safe in Krishna's hands. Such a risk you have taken. But what about on the other hand? You don't dedicate your life to Krishna's service, then your life is too much of a risk. You're going to lose the most valuable form of human life. Right? Okay, so that's the point here. Prabhupada is giving an example here that intravenous, what Prabhupada says here, intravenously injecting drug. What does it mean? Intravenous means directly you give the drug in the vein, so it acts very fast. The messages from pure devotees are like that. When we hear messages from pure devotee, it pierces the heart. Immediately, when you hear from, many times we see devotee disciples having experience when they hear from Prabhupada, they feel, actually exactly I am scanned. My life is speaking about my life. Pure devotee, when they speak, you have this effect. Because they don't have any envy, any greed, nothing. Their only aim is to please Krishna. Their only aim is to save the fallen souls from the most horrible condition. I will just share with you. Yesterday I was hearing on Prabhupada lecture. There was one person in this series of lectures, on the series of verses. So one person is asking a question. Well, Swamiji, what about your movement? What is the advice your movement gives to keep the health and the health in a very good way? How to take care of the health? So Prabhupada says, what is the question of health? Your body is very temporary. Prabhupada takes it in the other way around. But Prabhupada says that your body is temporary. Your life in this material world is temporary. Life is very rare. So most important education is the Atma Tattva. So Prabhupada, he completely took the whole question the other way around. Why? Somebody may say, he's asking a question about his health. But why Prabhupada is speaking about Atma Tattva and then you have to engage in Krishna service? That's the point. That's the mercy of the pure devotee. What's the point in explaining about Ayurveda? You take this medicine, that medicine, and you can sleep for this many hours, that many hours. Okay, there's so many people are speaking about this. You want to go to your doctor. You have come to a spiritual doctor. When you come to a spiritual doctor, you get spiritual solutions for all your problems. For all the material problems, you get spiritual solution. Isn't it? So Prabhupada was such an amazing personality. He could just turn the situation out and to make a person Krishna conscious. He may be very strong sometimes. Sometimes he was very compassionate. Sometimes he was very powerful in speaking strong words. Once Prabhupada was in the hippie area, one fellow was doing gardening. So Prabhupada when he came to the place, so he was asking, what are you doing? He was very seriously responding, Prabhupada, I am gardening. What are you doing about your life? Prabhupada was very strong. He was asking, what are you doing means what are you doing about your life? So this is the point. So that's the question we should ask. What are you doing with your life? I am 45 years old. That means Prabhupada is saying in a lecture, you are 45 years old. Actually 45 years this body is already dead. 45 years gone. That's the reality. Let's say for whatever reason, if I'm going to live for 50 years, 55 years, 48 years. So 45 years gone. 45 years this body is dead. So that's how we look at it. I went with one devotee to someone's house. So this devotee, they said, my son is 17 years old. Oh, okay, good. And then he was looking at the calendar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. So 18 days. So 18 years wasted. This devotee is looking like this. He's looking at 18 number. He's looking at 18 years gone. I am still not surrendered to Krishna. That's the vision of a devotee. So it should be like that. So Prabhupada is saying oral realization of the transcendental messages implies total realization. Just as fructification of one part of a tree implies fructification of all other parts. This realization for a moment in the association of pure devotees, like Shukadeva Goswami, prepares one's complete life for eternity. And thus the sun fails to rob the pure devotee of his duration of life, inasmuch as he is constantly busy in the devotional service of the Lord, purifying his existence. Death is a symptom of the material infection of the eternal living being. Only due to material infection is the eternal living entity subjected to the law of birth, death, old age and disease. Okay. So one person was asked, so what are you doing now? I am very busy in doing one particular activity. What is that? I am digesting my food. So this is what people are busy with, eating, sleeping, mating, defending. So what a great work you are doing, sir. You are busy digesting the food that you took. There was another instance where one person was, this procrastination. It's like that, He was very busy. The girl was very busy decorating. Went on decorating, and the muhurta was over. The marriage couldn't happen. So it was like that, you have to use the time very effectively. And also, Srila Bhakti-vaibhava Thakur also is pointing out, Udita tapana hoila hasta, dine gelo bholi hoibe vyasta. See how poetic. Tabe keno ebe alasha hoi, nabhaje ruday raje. Udila Aruna song says, with every rising and setting of the sun, a day passes and is lost. Why then do you remain idle and not serve the Lord of the heart? That's the mood in which Shravana Rishi is speaking here. Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? You see, one day is gone. And you can see, we will see at the verse, one purpose the Prabhupada is discussing about the quality of a pure devotee. When a person is in an advanced stage, he can't waste 1 second also. No way of wasting a second. And we can see when we are moving to advanced devotees, we may be very spaced out people, but every second is used. While honoring prasadam, they are hearing lecture. While taking bath, they are hearing some bhajans. While going in the car, they are continuously chanting. When they are just standing somewhere, they are just learning some words. Do something related with Krishna. Don't waste time. And if you don't have anything else to do, I don't know how to read, I don't know how to preach. Or you can always put your hands inside the japa bead, chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The most sublime activity. Chant. We can always do something for Krishna. And if you always do something for Krishna, Krishna will be very pleased and we will be Krishna conscious. That's what this mission is meant to make us. Why we are having this Bhakti-vaibhava Course? So that by reading, by giving oral reception, somehow our mind gets absorbed in Krishna's service. So that's the whole idea. So now, Srila Prabhupada, while speaking on this lecture, on this particular verse, has given several profound realizations. We will see those. Here is one which is speaking about the spiritual body and original body. So those who are devotees, those who are in Krishna consciousness, they are giving up this infected body and they are getting the new, not new, the old, original body, spiritual body. We all have a spiritual body. Therefore, as soon as you get a spiritual body, the sun has no power to take it away. The sun cannot take it, cannot touch that spiritual body. Okay. So Prabhupada says, if you simply read Krishna book or Bhagavad Gita or teachings of Lord Chaitanya, then you know, as long as you are reading, the sun is unable to take your life. It is not possible for the sun to take your life. So if you constantly read, then where is the opportunity of suns taking your life? That means you are becoming immortal. People are very much anxious to become immortal. Nobody wants to die. Everyone knows that I shall die. But if there is immediately some danger, fire, immediately you go away from this room. Why? I do not wish to die. I do not wish to die. Although I know I have to die, still why do I go away? I know that, let there be fire. I have to die today or tomorrow. Let me die. No, I do not wish to die. Therefore I go away. This is the psychology. So everyone wants to live forever. That's a fact. So if you want to live forever, then you have to take to Krishna consciousness. So Krishna consciousness movement is so important and nice. Everyone wants to live. So actually if you want to live, then you take to Krishna consciousness. So what does it mean? A devotee does not die. A question for you. A devotee does not have death.
But death is there, means changing of the body is there, but fear.
These are some of the points. Yes, death is there. Death is going to be there for everyone as long as we are in the body. Krishna says, "Jatasi dhruvam mrityor, dhruvam janma mritasya." Yes, anyone who is born in this world is definitely going to die. But for a devotee, he is, as Prabhupada said here, already he is in the spiritual body. No more is going to be affected by the effect of the sun. When he dies, he's immediately, when he leaves his body, he's already there with Krishna in the spiritual world. That's the glory of the devotee. So Prabhupada says, if you have got, next moment you can interchange, read something, always be busy with Krishna, then sun will not be able to kill you, you are going to live forever. This is the process. So 24 hours, as soon as you get time, read books, discuss among yourself, don't fill up the ears with rubbish things, then advancement will be choked up. Okay, now we will go back to the next verse. Yes. Text 18. Tarava kim na jivanti, bhastra kim na shvasantyuta, na kadanti na mehanti, kingrame pashavopare. Do the trees not live? Do the bellows of the blacksmith not breathe? All around us, do the beasts not eat and discharge semen? Prolonged life for sense gratification is useless or without spiritual value. Life is solely meant for tapasya, purifying one's existence so that one may enter into eternal life just after the end of the human form of life. So, as some people are so foolish, like one of the Lakshmi Narayan Prabhu went out for book distribution. So he met one person, and this fellow was speaking very high philosophy. The philosophy is that very big philosophy. It was difficult to comprehend at the beginning. He said that actually the Lord is great. He is very glorious. What is the glory of Him is He has created the stomach and we can eat nicely. He can continuously eat. This is the level of consciousness some of the people are interested in. So this is the Annamaya Kosha, just eating. This is what the animals are doing. So that's what Prabhupada is pointing out here. The materialists want to prolong life as much as possible because they have no information of the next life. They want to get the maximum comforts in this present life because they think conclusively that there is no life after death. This ignorance about the eternity of the living being and the change of covering in the material world has played havoc in the structure of modern society. This is definitely it's a fact, 100% fact what Prabhupada is speaking. And we will be seeing the second canto, in the upcoming chapters, about ignorance has been explained. There are 5 levels of ignorance. When one is completely ignorant, he thinks body as the self. He thinks body as everything. And then he thinks the goal of life is sense gratification. Then he also is always in great anxiety because of thinking the body to be the self and the goal is sense gratification. Naturally, there is anxiety because of that. Yeah, so these are the different levels of ignorance. This takes one into completely immerses in bodily concept of life, and he totally forgets the purpose for which he is born in this material world. Rather, he only concludes everything with simply satisfying the tongue, the genitals, the touch sensation, to see beautiful forms. This is how his life, he bases his life on these things. But the Bhagavatam says that certain trees lives for hundreds and thousands of years. At Vrindavana there is a tamarind tree. The place is known as Imlitala, which is said to have existed since the time of Lord Krishna. In the Calcutta Botanical Garden there is a banyan tree all over the world. Swami Shankaracharya lived only 32 years. And Lord Chaitanya lived 48 years. Does it mean that the prolonged lives of the above mentioned trees are more important than the life of Shankara or Chaitanya? Prolonged life without spiritual value is not very important. One may doubt that trees have life because they do not breathe. But modern scientists like Bose have already proved that there is life in plants. So breathing is no sign of actual life. The Bhagavatam says that the bellows of the blacksmith breathes very soundly, but that does not mean that the bellows has life. So the materialists will argue that life in the tree and life in the man cannot be compared because the tree cannot enjoy life by eating palatable dishes or by enjoying sexual intercourse. In reply to this, the Bhagavatam asks whether other animals like the dogs and hogs living in the same village with human beings do not eat and enjoy sexual life. Again, in the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam, Rishabhadev also points out that what is the big thing? Nayam deho dehavajam naloke kashtan kaman arhate vidbujamye tapodivyam putraka ena sattvam shuddhyedi yasmat brahma saukyam tamanantam. So he points out that what is the big thing that you are doing? You are working so hard to fill your belly, but even a dove, stool eating pig, it is also able to fill its belly, not with so much harder, with such a struggle that as the humans are nowadays doing. So the purpose of human life is to engage in tapasya, to know what is the goal of life, how to serve the Lord, how to revive our relationship with the Lord. Rather than doing that, if we simply engage in satisfying our bellies, that is animalistic life. So he points out that better to engage in tapasya to get the eternal happiness and bliss that is available in the service of the Lord. So Prabhupada points out that a society of such polished animals cannot benefit suffering humanity, for an animal can easily harm another animal but rarely do good. A very strong purport by Srila Prabhupada to make us understand that the human form of life is to engage in tapasya, not to lead life like zombies. Simply just what we have done, I ate, I slept, I reproduced, and I defended myself. This is the glory of life. Not to be like that. That is the point. Now, here the next verse speaks about these kind of people who are just wasting their human form of life, who are just leading lives like the trees and like the bellows, simply breathing. So these people are actually compared. The Bhagavatam gives again, Shaunaka Rishi very strongly condemns them. What he says, Shvavidvarahoshtrakaraihi samstutah purushah pashuhu nayat karna pato peto jatu nama gadagrajah. He says, Shva Vitvaraha Ushtra Karaihi Samstutah, a dog, stool eating hog, the camel, Karaihi, the asses, Samstutah, perfectly praised a person, Pashu, an animal. Never, yet of him, Karna, ear, Pata, path, Upetaha, reach, Jatu, at any time, Nama, the holy name, Gadagrajaha, Lord Krishna, the deliverer from all evils. Men who are like dogs, hogs, camels and asses, praise those men who never listen to the transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna, the deliverer from evils. So even somebody can say that, you so far, you people are only, others are glorifying these people who have led their life for a long time, who are, there are so many people now, they are there, big celebrities, they are not interested in Krishna service or in spiritual life, but they are being glorified. They are being glorified, but what kind of people are they who are glorifying them? These are all the people, men who are like dogs, hogs, camels and asses, praise those men who never listen to the transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna. So, that's why Prabhupada many times said, Srila Prabhupada was not interested in vox populi. You know what is vox populi? Vox populi is, he was not interested what is the public opinion. We are not concerned about the public opinion. We are very much concerned about what is Krishna's opinion. What is the opinion of the devotees? That's what we are interested in. What he will say, what they will say, what others will say, what this community will say, what Krishna will say. What about what my pure devotees will say? That should be our concern. No, for that matter, we are not going to do something completely crazy things, but we are doing things in a very proper way, which will actually create auspiciousness for others also. We should not be immediately afraid that if I become devotee, then everybody will mock at me. But what is going to be a real what is going to be a real destination? What will happen to you by taking up the Krishna consciousness? You are going to attain life of eternal bliss that you are going to experience now also, and you will experience later also. But if you are just going to give importance to other so-called like dogs, hogs, camels and asses, then we will also become one after this lifetime. So we have to be very intelligent and take good instruction from Bhagavatam and then be careful. So Prabhupada here points out every character, why Shaunaka Rishi is using the strong words, dogs, what the dogs are doing, what the hogs are doing, what the camels are doing. So we will see some from the purport. We will read few and then try to appreciate. After finishing a so-called education, the so-called educated persons move like dogs from door to door with applications for some service, and mostly they are driven away, informed of no vacancy. As dogs are negligible animals and serve the master faithfully, or bits of bread, a man serves the master faithfully with sufficient rewards. This is what is happening. And you can see in corporate circles, they wear this badge, their identity card. They're so proud. Oh, I am so and so, having surrendered to Microsoft, having surrendered to HP, having surrendered to Intel. They are very proud. You're not using your life in service of the Lord at all. You're just like a dog. That's all, wasting your time working for some multinational company. You have sold yourself, and you are getting rewards time to time. You are getting a bonus. You are getting a hike, and you are going for that. Okay, and then you are going to waste the human form of life. That's what is happening. Okay. Now, hogs, persons who have no discrimination in the matter of foodstuff and who eat all sorts of rubbish are compared to hogs. Hogs are very much attached to eating stools. So stool is a kind of foodstuff for a particular type of animal, and even stones are eatables for a particular type of animal or bird. But the human being is not meant for eating everything and anything. He's meant to eat grains, vegetables. So Prabhupada points out that what is that humans eat, and so simply wasting life in eating all nonsense, Prabhupada points out. Then he points out about camel, how camel only, in the name of trying to please itself, it is eating thorns. And what do you get in the desert? Cactus, right? The cactus is very thorny. So you just take that thorny plant, it eats a thorny plant, and what it does, it just eats its own blood. So Prabhupada says, similarly, the great business magnates, industrialists who work very hard to earn money by different ways and questionable means, eat the thorny results of their actions mixed with their own blood. You see, they shed their blood and they get heavy reactions. In business, sometimes they do heavy cheating. They adulterate. So many things are happening. But at the end of the day, when you are not doing anything in a dharmic way, you are going to face the consequences. So you shed your blood to get bloody results. You get very heavy results. Okay. Now Prabhupada points out how the ass is also many places Prabhupada gives an example, isn't it? How the ass is actually so foolish. It is carrying heavy burden, and at the end of the day just wants to have some sex with the wife, and the wife is kicking, the she-ass is kicking. So that's what Prabhupada is. But the so-called advancement of human civilization has engaged a human being in the work of an ass. The laborers in great factories and workshops are also engaged in such burdensome work, and after working hard during the day, the poor laborer has to be again kicked by the fair sex, not only for sex enjoyment, but also for so many household affairs. So the Bhagavatam openly declares that although a person may be a great leader of such dogs and hogs disguised as men, if he has no taste for being enlightened in the signs of Krishna, such a leader is also an animal and nothing more. He may be designated as a powerful, strong animal or a big animal, but in the estimation of Srimad Bhagavatam, he is never given a place in the category of man on account of his atheistic temperament. Or in other words, such godless leaders of dogs and hog-like men are bigger animals with the qualities of animals in greater proportion. Always Tamal Krishna Maharaj was making fun of one big so-called director of a Hollywood movie star. He said, they don't understand Sanskrit, so he was saying, welcome Mr. Godasa, Muda Godas, right what he said, Muda Godas. He was that person, maybe you might have thought that, I'm such a great person, and they are honoring Muda Godas, and that's all. Simply, servant of your senses, foolish, or a foolish person. Okay, here is a quote by Prabhupada, I'll just read that. It is said that a person without God consciousness, Krishna consciousness, is no better than these dogs and hogs. That's all. This is our conclusion. We don't give any formal respect. Of course, we have to give because we are in this world, but at heart, we cannot give respect to a person who has not any sense of Krishna consciousness. We cannot give, because who is going to give any respect to the dogs and hogs? Shvavid varahostra karai samstuta purushah pashuhu. Therefore, Jiva Goswami has commented on this verse. If somebody says that this Mr. Such and Such, this Dr. Such and Such is respected by so many people, and you are saying that he is a rascal, what is this? So Jiva Goswami says that this man who is respected, but he is respected by whom? He is respected by this class of men, dogs, hogs, camel and asses. So he is a big pashu. Just like the lion. Lion is respected in the forest by dogs, hogs, camel and asses and other animals. Because lion is the king of the animals. But that does it mean, because he is designated as the king of the animal, it has got any use? Has it any use for any purpose? Similarly, these political leaders, they may be lion, but who respects them? The dogs, hogs, camels and asses, that's all. He may be a big animal, but he is animal. No better than a big animal, that's all. And other animals praises dogs, hogs, camels. Okay, here is another one. Prabhupada says, of course, camels you haven't got, but there are many asses also. At least in Indian cities, we find there are many hogs, many dogs, many camels, many asses. So if they are called for votes, now we are taking vote for this, vote for that. What is the value of that election? Is there any value? So actually we are collecting votes from dogs, hogs, camels and asses. Bile bhatoru krama vikramanye nashinvata karna pute narasya jigva sati dhardurike vasuta nachopagaya yurugaya gataha. One who has not listened, now he, after explaining about this kind of personality, now he is going to condemn each and every limb of a person who does not engage himself in the service of Krishna. One who has not listened to the messages about the prowess and marvelous acts of the personality of Godhead and has not sung or chanted loudly the worthy songs about the Lord is to be considered to possess ear holes like the holes of snakes and a tongue like the tongue of a frog. Okay, Prabhupada is pointing out, there are hundreds and hundreds of sources for distributing mundane news of the world, and people of the world are also receiving it. Similarly, the people of the world should be taught to hear the transcendental topics of the Lord, and the devotee of the Lord must speak loudly so that they can hear. The frogs loudly croak with the result that they invite the snakes to eat them. The human tongue is especially given for chanting the Vedic hymns and not for croaking like frogs. The word asati used in this verse is also significant. Asati means a woman who has become a prostitute. A prostitute has no reputation for good womanly qualities. Similarly, the tongue which is given to the human being for chanting the Vedic hymns will be considered a prostitute when engaging in chanting some mundane nonsense. That's why we can see, on the other hand, devotee engages all the senses in Krishna's service. So that's the proper way of using it. We will again see in the 9th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing about Ambarish Maharaj. Savai mana Krishna padara indayor vachamsi vaikunta gunanu varnane. So how he is using his mind is absorbed in Krishna's service. He is glorifying the Lord. He is engaging his hands, engaging his legs. And also Kulashekara also wonderfully he glorifies the Lord. How each and every sense is engaging in glorifying the Lord. What is the verse? Can you please repeat? Namami Narayana Pada Pankajam. So he says, Namami, my pranams to the lotus feet of the Lord. Then Karomi Narayana Pujanam Sada. So there is great devotees of the Lord. They are just relishing the service of the Lord. They are very poetic. They are just absorbing. They are so all the time glorifying the Lord with their beautiful form. When they see, they become ecstatic. When they, with the tongue, they just use choicest of words to glorify the Lord. And with the ear, they are always, they are hankering to get more, millions and millions of ears to hear the holy name. So, Namami Narayana Pada Pankajam, Karomi Narayana Pujanam Sada. Vadami Narayana Nama Nirmalam. So, Vadami Narayana. So, he always wants to chant the name of the Lord and then become purified. Then Smarami. So when there is engagement in the service, chanting the names of the Lord, then immediately there is Smarana. Smarami Narayana Tattvam Abhyayam. There is every different stotras of pure devotees are full of nectar. Now, on the other hand, we see here those who are not engaging in the service of the Lord, and when whatever they talk, it's all garbage, and whatever they specifically in this verse, what is being, two senses are being spoken about. One is the tongue, another one is what?
Ears.
Ears, yeah. So we are ready to hear so many nonsense things. There was one devotee was explaining very nicely. He said, immediately a test for someone, we can see how much we have made progress in devotional service. We will just go, we will sit somewhere, suddenly some film music goes, Spontaneously we can see sometimes because of previous habits and all those things, the leg immediately taps, immediately there is tapping, and then silently, he may not express it outside. Then we know, no need to make big show, immediately we know where we are. how do I know that whether I am advanced in Krishna consciousness or not? No need to ask anything. You crazy fellow, you yourself know what it is. You still have taste to hear these film songs. Still you like to watch in the YouTube all this, sports, different serials and different kind of jokes, film jokes. So many nonsense are spread all around. You are interested means cool down. We have to go a long way. We have to become more intense in serving Krishna. So we learn lesson from the instruction that is given here by Shaunaka Rishi. Okay, now Prabhupada he goes on to explain. When you go walk on the paddy field, you will find so many holes. Have you got experience? There are many holes. Even on the beach, you will find so many holes. But especially in the agricultural field, there are holes. Because the paddy, the rats and mouse, they come to eat the paddies and they make hole to live there. And the snake take advantage. They enter the hole and eat the rat and mouse and live peacefully. When these heroes are not receptive of the message of Krishna, it is like that. It is not being utilized properly. Similarly, you have got tongue, but you cannot chant Hare Krishna. Jigvasati dharduri keva. It is just like the tongue of the frogs. The frogs. You have got experience during rainy season. They use their tongue very nicely. They sing kakaraka, kakaraka, kakaraka. Yes. What is the result of singing? The result of singing in the darkness, the snakes, they can understand. Here is a frog and it comes and takes immediately, eats. In the previous verse, we have learned Ayur Harati Vai Pumsam, Udyan Astang Chayan Nasau. Because the sun's business is to take away your span of life gradually. So same, as the frog is calling his death, the snake, please come here, I am here. Similarly, these persons who are talking all nonsense without Krishna Katha, they are inviting the Emerald. Please come soon, I am here. This is the position. So devotees know the technique of how to invite Emerald in a different way. Even they make Emerald forget what is he has to do. Because they are busy engaged in Krishna Kirtan. Emerald himself is absorbed. He forgets what is his duty, what is the responsibility himself. So that's how devotees transcend death. They are completely being absorbed in Krishna's service, chanting and hearing about Krishna Katha. So that's the glory. Okay. Now let's see what he speaks on text 21. Bhara parang patta kirita justam apyuttamangam nanamen mukundam shavau karauna kurute saparyam harer lasat kanchana kankanau va. The upper portion of the body, though crowned with a silk turban, is only a heavy burden if not bowed down before the personality of Godhead, who can award mukti, freedom. And the hands, though decorating with glittering bangles, are like those of a dead man, if not engaged in the service of the personality of Godhead Hari. So, two things are being spoken. So, hand with nice bangles, it's like the hand of a dead body, because if it is not engaged in Krishna's service, although it may appear very nice. And another point is spoken about when the head has been decorated very nicely with turban, and it's at that head, if it does not bow down in front of the Lord, then that head is carrying a heavy burden. That's all. So that's the main theme he's saying. So he's speaking that, what a fool you are. Bow down in front of the Lord. With your hand, do some service to the Lord. That's how you have to benefit. That's the mood in which Shaunaka Rishi is pointing out that. So Prabhupada speaks about first class devotee and how he is engaged in visiting the temple, bowing down in front of the deity, which is an important act. Whenever we come to the temple, first thing that we do is bow down to the Acharya and to the deity. Then only everything else. That we should learn. Scientific knowledge without God consciousness remains only a heavy burden. So Prabhupada speaks. That's why sometimes you see people come and to the temple, they say, oh nice, oh what a very nice carving, very good, oh, very nice. They come and very nice decoration. On top of it, they say, but they don't bow down. They don't bow down in front of the deity. They don't know this is the Supreme God. This is all because of the modern education. Modern education has made a man artificially puffed up. He thinks he is the creator. He is going to soon solve the problems of life, of birth and death, and he will conquer the moon, and he will also go to Mars and start another T20 match there. All these dreams they are having, all foolish fellows. They will have, at the end of the life, they will have a miserable death. This is what is going to happen if they are not going to take up Krishna's service. Hearing by all class of devotees from the authentic sources like the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam is essential. The common man who is puffed up with his material position and does not bow down before the deity of the Lord in the temple, or who defies temple worship without any knowledge of the science, must know that his so-called turban or crown will only succeed in further drowning him in the water of the ocean of material existence. A drowning man with a heavy weight on his head is sure to go down more swiftly than those who have no heavy weight. A foolish puffed up man defies the science of God and says that God has no meaning for him. But when he is in the grip of God's law and is caught by some disease like cerebral thrombosis, that godless man sinks into the ocean of nations by the weight of his material acquisition. So this is what happens, Better you take up the Krishna consciousness as soon as possible. Who knows what kind of disease you're going to get? Who knows what kind of fatal blow you're going to have in your life? So better take up very soon. That's the best use of bad bargain. The human body, you may say, what is the use of the human body? But human body, you can use the best use of the bad bargain. So now Prabhupada elaborates with the example of Maharaj Prataparudra. So whatever he might have been a great personality, still he engaged in Krishna's service. That is what is required. Whatever may be your position in society, in front of the Lord you are a speck. That's all. So that we should always remember. And we should, in any point of our life, whatever may be the situation, we are very poor, we are very rich, whatever may be your situation, in front of the Lord we are simple servants. Prabhupada also gives the example of Maharaj Prataparudra, how he engaged in Lord's service. And also he speaks that one may be very rich, very, very powerful, whatever may be one's position, one has to, you may have so many ornaments, gold, this and that, but you have to give pleasure to the Lord by engaging in His service. So that's the main theme here. I don't have time, there is more. Okay, we will move to the next verse. Text 22. Barhayite te nayane naranam lingani vishnurna nirikṣato ye padondranam tau drumajanma bhajau kshetrani nanu vrajato hareryau. The eyes which do not look at a symbolic representation of the personality of Godhead, Vishnu, His forms, name, quality, etc., are like those printed on the plumes of a peacock, and the legs which do not move to the holy places, where the Lord is remembered, are considered to be like tree trunks. So, another thing, so with our eyes, we should always be ready to see the beautiful form of the Lord. The Lord is very, very merciful. He has appeared Himself in the form of the deity. The Shaligram Shilas are there. They are decorated very nicely. So, we have to use our eyes to see the beautiful form of the Lord. Then, if we regularly keep seeing the beautiful form of the Lord, then we may not be interested in seeing the beautiful form of the opposite sex. So, it's a good instruction that is given for us. So, Prabhupada in this purport, amazingly, he gives this whole sadhana process by which we can purify our existence. He says, any member of the family who is about 12 years of age should be initiated by a bona fide spiritual master, and all the members of the household should be engaged in the daily service of the Lord, beginning from morning 4 a.m. till night 10 p.m. by performing Mangala Arati, Nirjana, Archana, Puja, Kirtana, Shringara, Bhoga, Vaikali, Sandhya Arati, Pata, Bhoga, at night, Shrina Arati, etc. Engagement in such worship of the deity under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master will greatly help the householders to purify their very existence and make rapid progress in spiritual knowledge. We can see, in the modern day, very difficult for many of the householders, who are working with many multinational companies, working for US time zone, and all these people, they, sometimes we speak of, try to wind up, go to sleep a little early, 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30 at the max. But they actually, we can see many places. Everyone gather together and then start to eat dinner at 10 p.m. 10 p.m. only everybody is together discussing so many things. When serial is going on and joking, and then going on eating. By the time he goes to sleep, it is 12 o'clock. We know one person in the city. We know at morning what time we should go to meet him. The good time to go and meet him is around 11 o'clock. Between 11 and 12 you can catch him in the house. Because he wakes up only by around 10:30. And then he slowly takes bath and then gets ready by 11:30. And if we go at 11:30, we can catch him. If we go a little early, we are in trouble. He is taking rest. If we go after that, then he goes to the work. So life is like this, But a devotee life, that's why we have to do something in our life. Prabhupada in the Bhagavad Gita purport to 9th chapter, Manmana Bhav Madbhakto, Adhyajana Namaskar, in that verse, he says that we should mold our life in such a way that we can think of Krishna 24 hours a day. That's what Prabhupada is pointing out. How to do that? Prabhupada is giving that in this purport. So Prabhupada says that how this Archana is very much helpful. Book knowledge is theoretical, whereas the Archana process is practical. Spiritual knowledge must be developed by a combination of theoretical and practical knowledge. And that is the guaranteed way for attainment of spiritual perfection. Prabhupada also speaks about how when we are trained under the guidance of the spiritual master, we can make that progress. Prabhupada says, visiting the temple of a devotee and looking at the profusely decorated forms of the Lord, well dressed in a well decorated sanctified temple, naturally infuse the mundane mind with spiritual inspiration. People should visit holy places like Vrindavana, where such temples and worship of the deity are specifically maintained. The Prabhupada also in just the beginning of this paragraph, I missed to read. He says that this ecstatic kirtan and the beautiful way the deities are decorated will help us to forget the sex songs of this material world. And also the beautiful forms of the Lord, wonderful decorations will also absorb ourselves in remembering the Lord's form. So Prabhupada speaks about we have to go to the holy places for what? To take, by the association of the devotees, we go to the holy places and then we engage in service, not for sightseeing. That also he points out. Okay, please see this lecture by Prabhupada. He says, just like Vrindavana, there are a small city, about 50,000 at most population, but there are 5,000 temples, big and small. Out of that, about 12 temples are very, very big, just like fort. And there are small temples. So altogether it is a city of 5,000 population. But there are 5,000 temples, all Radha Krishna. So this is a chance that come to Vrindavana and wherever you go, you see Radha Krishna. That will make your life successful. By seeing Radha Krishna, seeing, you will get an impression. Prabhupada is, in such a mood he's speaking. He's saying that you go and see the deities. And if you continue the inhabitants of Vrindavana, you will find, if when you go there, that in the morning and evening, all of them, they are going different temples and seeing the deity Radha Krishna. So there is no need of education, there is no need of philosophy, there is no need of science. Simply if you visit temples of Vishnu, then your life is successful. This is the Krishna consciousness process. Simply if you move to the temples and see with your eyes, very simple process. However, this Krishna consciousness program is so simple, at the same time sublime, that you become liberated at the end. Tyaktva deham punarjanmana iti. If you simply think of Krishna in that way. Text number 23. Jivanchavo bhagavataangri renum na jatu martyo bilapeta yastu Sri Vishnu padya manujastu lasya shvasanchavo yastu na veda gandham. The person who has not at any time received the dust of the feet of the Lord's pure devotee upon his head is certainly a dead body. Now, after having explained all the different parts of the body, now he's explaining about the whole body itself. He's saying, the person who has not at any time received the dust of the feet of the Lord's pure devotee upon his head is certainly a dead body. And the person who has never experienced the aroma of the tulasi leaves from the lotus feet of the Lord is also a dead body, although breathing. Prabhupada speaks about the ghosts, how the ghosts are deadly beings. Ghosts are always bad elements, always creating a fearful situation for others. Similarly, the ghosts like non-devotees who have no respect for the pure devotees, nor for the Vishnu deity in the temples, create a fearful situation for the devotees at all times. The Lord never accepts any offering by such impure ghosts. Okay. Now, Srila Prabhupada again further in this purport, he says that, so how to, the very essential point of this purport, what's the essential point? You can, to come close to God, you first of all come close to the God's devotee. So that's why he's quoting about Bharat Maharaj's life, how by taking the dust of the Vina Mahat Pada Rajobhishekam. So we discussed this earlier. So by the dust of the feet of the great devotees, one will be able to attain to the perfectional stage of devotional service. That is possible. And Srila Prabhupada points out that the mood of a devotee in this, any Vaishnava should have this mood. Specifically, Lord Chaitanya in the Gaudiya Sampradaya is teaching us that Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayor Dasa Dasanudas. That's the mood of a devotee. And he points out that how gopis were in that mood, always thinking of how to give pleasure to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Prabhupada very significantly points out the mood of Srimati Radharani. In Vrindavan, all the pure devotees pray for the mercy of Srimati Radharani, the pleasure potency of Lord Sri Krishna. Srimati Radharani is a tender-hearted feminine counterpart of the Supreme Whole, resembling the perfectional stage of the worldly feminine nature. Therefore, the mercy of Radharani is available very readily to the sincere devotees, and once she recommends such a devotee to Lord Krishna, the Lord at once accepts the devotee's admittance into his association. The conclusion is therefore that one should be more serious about seeking the mercy of the devotee than that of the Lord directly, and by once doing so, the natural attraction for the service of the Lord will be revived. We will go to the next verse. We already saw the quote. Okay, now this is a very heavy statement by Shravanaka Rishi, and he gives a very good insight into the heart of a devotee, how it should be, what should be the final transformation that should happen. And also it acts as a litmus test for someone who is chanting Hare Krishna, and if he is not making progress, what is the reason also we can know from this verse. Tadashmasarang hridayang bhatedam yad grihyamanayr harinamadeyaih na vikriyeta tayada vikaro netre jalam gatra ruheshu harshah. Suddenly that heart is steel framed, which in spite of one chanting the holy name of the Lord with concentration does not change even when one displays such signs of transformation as tears in the eyes and ecstatic standing of the hairs on end. What a realization, huh? Shravanaka Rishi has come up with such a realization. Change of heart. So this chapter is entitled as the change of heart. So what is the change of heart that is expected? The change of heart should be from not serving the Lord, one should start to serve the Lord. In fact, we can see in the very first chapter, there is the worship of the Virat Rupa. Virat Rupa worship is being mentioned. Then in the second chapter, gradually from Virat Rupa worship also there is a mood of devotion being inculcated. How do you say that? Which Parpat says about that? Remember?
Service mood.
Service mood should be inculcated. So there is a bhakti point is being triggered there. Then in the second chapter, there is an information of worshipping the super soul, meditation on the super soul. Then also at the end of the second chapter, there is a stress given on taking up to devotion. Now in the third chapter, he is very much elaborating the devotion service. He says that engage in the Lord's service with all your senses. So that's what we are seeing here. So that means we accept the Lord as a form and He is a person. So this is what it is. You see here, Prabhupada is pointing out. But in the third chapter, further development is described after one has actually reached the stage of Vishnu worship or pure devotional service. And the mature stage of Vishnu worship is suggested here in relation to the change of heart. There should be a change in the heart. So what is the change that is being expected? What is expected to happen? So when you chant the names of the Lord, when you engage in His service, you should experience ecstasy. The heart should melt. The heart should become softened. The heart must be softened. That's what is mentioned here. It is expected by all means that by discharging regular devotional service, one must manifest the change of heart. If there is no such change, the heart must be considered steel framed, for it is not melted even when there is chanting of the holy name of the Lord. We must always remember that hearing and chanting are the basic principles of discharging devotional duties. And if they are properly performed, there will follow the reactional ecstasy with signs of tears in the eyes and standing of the hairs on the body. These are natural consequences and are the preliminary symptoms of the bhava stage, which occurs before one reaches the perfectional stage of prema, love of Godhead. Now, Srila Prabhupada, further he says that, so when one properly hears and properly chants in parampara, in proper service mood, what should be the result of that?
Developing.
One should develop love for God. That should happen. If that does not happen, what should be the cause? Yeah, that is the point. The cause is that we might have done some offences in the service of the Lord. It could be a seva aparad. Specifically here, Srila Jiva Goswami is pointing out nama aparad, and Prabhupada also is quoting Srila Jiva Goswami here. When somebody is in proper standing, properly is made progress, then we can see that this person has advanced to the stage of bhava. So we know from the Bhakti-vaibhava Sindhu, there are different stages in devotional service. There is Shraddha. From Shraddha there is Sadhu Sangha, then there is Bhajana Kriya, then there is... So Shraddha is the initial faith that somebody has got, and that faith triggers one to take association of the devotees. From the association of devotees, by devotees engages in the service of the Lord, which is Bhajana Kriya, and by Bhajana Kriya, we gradually give up the anarthas, which are like stumbling blocks in our progress of Krishna consciousness, that is Anartha Nivritti. And from Anartha Nivritti, we go to the stage of Nishtha. We develop firm faith in the Lord's holy name, in His service. And then from that, you develop Ruchi, you develop taste for serving the Lord, and gradually other things, Nama Rupa Guna Leela. And then you make further progress and you develop more attachment, which is called the Asakti level. And then from there, you make progress to the level of Bhava, and then you go to the level of Prema. Prema is a pure love platform. But in the stage of Bhava itself, there are certain characteristics which we see in the life of the devotees. That Srila Prabhupada is pointing out in this purport. So, what are those symptoms? While explaining those symptoms, Prabhupada also is giving a warning about Prakrita Sahajyas. Prakrita Sahajyas will also sometimes show this ecstasy. Like, crying like anything, and then, rolling on the ground. All those things they will express. Sometimes we can see, also in our we can also see with some neophytes. Ourselves also, sometimes we may be super enthusiastic, and then afterwards we may feel like not attending Mangalarti, or not going for the program, or not going for Seva. We can see our neophyteness. We have not made progress. We definitely know we are in which level. We are in the level of Anishta Bhajana Kriya. There is no steady progress that we are making. One day enthusiastic, another day morose. So, but same, the Prakrita Sahajyas are even more worse. So he says the pseudo symptoms are at once detected even when one sees the pseudo devotee addicted to so many forbidden things. Yeah, they sometimes smoke, drink after the program. So in Bangladesh, His Holiness Bhakti-vaibhava Swami used to say that so many people are there like that. They just used to dance, they used to sing so loudly, and even tears come in their eyes. And after finishing all these things, they put pan, they chew pan, they smoke cigarette. Some heavy contradiction. We remember, once one so-called big Srila Bhakti-vaibhava Thakur exposed one big Paramahamsa who he calls himself. He has somehow or other got the name of great personalities, the supreme personality. Krishna, Rama is included in his name. He's a big Paramahamsa. So this person also used to sometimes show some big symptoms of showed himself like a big pure devotee. So when he was one time in Rabindranath Tagore's house, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was there, and he was also showing him. So this big Paramahamsa was rolling on the ground and kind of showing tears. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was called, and when he actually exposed him, he brought in a cup rasagulla and all those things. And then when he was offered this, immediately he just all this big bhav from big level, he came to senses and he was tasting it nicely. So this is again, you can very clearly see this is cheating. It is not possible. So that is also Prabhupada is warning that. And also on the other hand, he is also making a point that it may not be possible for someone, he may not show also. Just to set a good example, he may not show those symptoms also. He gives example of Lord Chaitanya and Rai Ramananda. In their discussion, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he avoided to show great symptoms. So now Prabhupada is discussing from nectar of devotion the different level. Shanti. Shanti is the cessation of material desires, or you could tolerate the situation. Very peaceful because of not hankering on those material desires. Then he's speaking about avyartha kalatvam. Avyartha kalatvam is a symptom of a pure devotee, not even wasting 1 second. Then namagane sadaruchi, always absorbed in hearing and chanting the names of the Lord, ready to always stay in the holy dham. Then there are a couple of more things which is not mentioned in the purport, but there is nothing wrong in discussing. There is Asha Bandha, right? Asha Bandha is hope against hope. So I would like to recollect one beautiful prayer of Sri Sanatana Goswami, which is mentioned in the Bhakti-vaibhava Sindhu. And it also sets us a good example how we can also offer prayer to the Lord. hope against hope. In the material world, there is always hope against hope that somehow or other we can enjoy. But the pure devotee, he feels himself, he is totally unqualified. My dear Lord, I don't have any qualification to engage in this service. I don't have qualification to come in the association of devotees. In that mood, Srila Sanatana Goswami, he is exhibiting the symptom, one symptom of Sharanagati. Somehow or other the Lord will protect me, is very merciful. Like also Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the song, he sings, what he says in the Gopinath song, the last line he says that, my dear Lord, Asura Sakala Charana Tumi. What is that? He says that even for these Asuras, you have given shelter. So for the Asura Sakala Pailo Sharan, you have given shelter even to the Asuras. So please, some or other consider and give me a shelter. So now that is called hope against hope. So he says, so this is the prayer that in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Sanatana Goswami is offering. Na prema shravanadi bhaktirapi va yogata va vaishnavo jnanam va shubha karma va kiyadaho sajjatirapyasti va hinartadhika sadake tvai tatapyachedhya mula sati he gopi jana vallabha vyatayate ha ha mada shaiva mam. So he says, na prema shravanadi, na prema, I don't have any love for you. Shravanadi, I am not interested in any hearing. There is no bhakti also. I do not know any yoga process. I am not a Vaishnava also. I don't have any knowledge. I don't have any good Shubha Karma. I have not done any pious activities. Sajjatir, I am not born in any good family. Although he is born in a great big family, but he considers himself very low because of the association with the Islamic rulers. Hinartadhika sadake tvaitata pyachedhya mula sati. So he says that hinartha, but you can give greater benedictions to one who is fallen and who has got no good qualities. Still, my dear Lord, a Gopijana Vallabha, my dear Supreme Lord, you can somehow or other, you can save me. So this is, I have great Asha eva mam tume, Asha eva mam, Hamat Asha eva mam, he says. So that is my only hope, my dear Lord, that you can save me from these clutches. So this is Asha Bandha. And there is also Samutkanta, that is also mentioned, right? Samutkanta is, I remember that amazing lecture given by His Grace Mukundatta Prabhu. He says that, he says that this Chandra Kala, there is actually, if you see in Vrindavan villages, actually there is in the villages, on the top there will always be some place. From that place you can look for the moon, it seems. So the gopis like that, they just go to the top and then they see, oh okay, whether Krishna is coming and like that. So there is one devotee that he explained. Who was that? Lal Baba, I think there is one devotee. So he is, he's still waiting. Even today it seems he is waiting with very great hope, Sabat Kanta, with Kanta, with little raised, with face little raised, he's looking, oh, when will Krishna come? He's looking. So when Krishna went to Mathura and he's expected to come back. So but he never came back. But he's still having hope that he's going to come back. So Samutkanta, that is being explained. So these are all the qualities that Chandra Lekha, that's the point. Chandra Lekha is a place where they look for the moon. Okay. So anyway, so these are all the qualities that a great devotee has. So Prabhupada points out that in this purport. So he says that the whole process can be summarized as follows. The advanced devotee who chants the holy name of the Lord in a perfectly offenseless manner and is friendly to everyone can actually relish the transcendental taste of glorifying the Lord. And the result of such realization is reflected in the cessation of all material desires. So that is why. So when then, in the association of pure devotees under the guidance of the Acharyas, if we engage in devotional service, then we will be able to come out of the conditioning of our heart being stone, like a stone. Then our heart will all start to melt. So that's what Prabhupada further he says. Therefore, the show of tears in the eyes, trembling, perspiration, and unconsciousness, etc. is condemned. They can, however, get in touch with the pure devotee of the Lord and rectify their bad habits. Otherwise, they shall continue to be stone-hearted and unfit for any treatment. Okay, just one verse I would like to read from Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. He completely contrasts. He gives another quote contrasting what are all the things with all the senses, how one will be pleasing the Lord from the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. Savagyaya tasya gunan grinite karau cha tat karma karau manascha Smarad vasantam stirajhangameshu shrunoti tat punya katasa karnaha. Actual speech is that which describes the qualities of the Lord. Real hands are those that work for Him. The true mind is that which always remembers Him, dwelling within everything, moving and non-moving. And actual ears are those that listen to sanctifying topics about Him. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 80, Text 3. So text 25. O Sutta Goswami, your words are pleasing to our minds. Please therefore explain this to us as it was spoken by the great devotee Shukadeva Goswami, who is very expert in transcendental knowledge and who spoke to Maharaj Parikshit upon being asked. Knowledge explained by the previous Acharya like Shukadeva Goswami and followed by the next like Sutta Goswami is always powerful, transcendental knowledge. It is therefore penetrating and useful for all submissive students. So again, Shravanaka Rishi is showing such a great enthusiasm to asking Sutta Goswami to speak further about the conversation between Parikshit and Shukadeva Goswami. So we that ends the purport, this second canto, the third chapter. Read one more quote here by Prabhupada. Prabhupada says, so here is one word, steel framed. When I was just reading this purport, I was thinking about it. Oh, steel framed, how they are, it's being translated as steel framed. How they had the concept of steel frame when they wrote like that. So I was thinking about Prabhupada immediate answers. So here is one word, steel frame. Nowadays the medical science is changing the heart, steel frame. So this modern science is making steel framed hearts. But we can understand that formerly also there was steel framed hearts. Otherwise how this word comes? Tadashma sarang hridayam batedam. So just like stone or steel does not melt very easily. Similarly, anyone's heart which does not change after chanting Hare Krishna mantra regularly, then it is to be understood that it is steel frame, made of stone or iron. Okay, one other thing, because we saw King Prataparudra, how he engaged in the service of the Lord. Prabhupada in one of the lecture, he is again pointing out how these kings were, in those days, they never felt that this is my property, my control, I am the controller. They were so much, whenever a Brahmana used to approach them, they were always conscious that everything belonged to the Lord and I am just his representative and everything belongs to Brahmana. They were in that conception. So Prabhupada, he points out that, he says, so actually formerly the kings, they possessed their kingdom just to manage, not thinking it is my property, I am the king. As soon as the kings thought like that, the monarchy finished. The king never thought like that. He thought himself as appointed agent of God, king. So he never thought. So Prithu Maharaj said that nothing belongs to me, and even if I can pay from my treasury, so I cannot actually pay for the benefit I have derived from you. Therefore, the only way I can pay is that I surrender unto you. You can utilize me in any way. Very interesting, no? He feels that, okay, you have done some favor. Okay, here, what am I going to give? When I am born, I come empty-handed. When I die, I go empty-handed. We are naked when we are born. And later we start accumulating, this is my country, this is my portion, this is God, so many things we say. But actually we don't possess anything. And the pure devotees have that consciousness, Who can be like that? So that's another important thing we see from here. At this point we already discussed. Parikshit Maharaj had the time, but we don't have so much time like Parikshit. Okay. Any questions, comments, realizations? So this is a very important chapter, very devotional chapter, which really pushes us to surrender and take up Krishna consciousness. The message is like, come on, what are you doing in your life? Take up Krishna consciousness. This is your life meant for. So one may even wonder, Shaunaka Rishi, then why they were all engaged in the fire sacrifice and all those things. You see, it seems that they have heard about Krishna so much, isn't it? But nevertheless, here we can see his depth of realization, so much absorbed, so much engrossed in Krishna consciousness. And that's how we can see the whole Bhagavatam is so enlivening when interesting questions are being posed, very serious questions being posed, serious questions being answered, and like that. And also we will see about Shukadeva Goswami also. Actually, Parikshit's glory also is mentioned here in this particular chapter. So I missed to inform you. Shukadeva Goswami's glory is also mentioned. If you remember, in the entire Bhagavatam, several places we can see how Shukadeva Goswami is glorified. Shukadeva Goswami in the 10th canto, in the Agasura section, Parikshit will further ask, okay, please speak some more about Krishna. When he is speaking about his Agasura Leela, when he sees about Krishna's form, he speaks about the Leela. At one point of time, Shukadeva will become unconscious. He will not be able to speak further. We also, we saw, in one of the verses, Shukadeva is not able to speak. because he gets into trance. So that's the point. So that's we can see with these great pure devotees, and then we can understand how great Acharya is following in their mood. We can also see sometimes Srila Prabhupada always stuck with trance. Sometimes when Prabhupada gets into ecstasy, tears flow in his eyes, and devotees will just use to sing Hare Krishna, and later he will come to external consciousness. One last point I want to say and conclude this class. We can see so far gross senses are being compared. Sri Vishnu Shakti Thakur says this. All the gross senses, how it should be engaged in Krishna's service. So he speaks about eyes, ears, hands and legs and like that. And then he goes into internal sense. What is that? If you see this verse, in this progression of verses, he speaks about the internal sense. It's a test of internal sense. What is that? Think about it. It's easy to figure out. We spoke about eyes should not be like that of plumes of a peacock. Ears should not be like that of the holes of the snake. Tongue should not be like that of a frog. Then what else? Hands should not be like hands of a dead body. Then legs should not be like that of a tree trunk. Then these are all external senses, right? Then what about the internal sense? What is the internal sense? What is this? Heart. What is being said about the heart? It should not be like steel frame. That's what is the Vishnu Thakur is pointing out. 5 external senses he spoke, and then about the heart also. Heart should not be like steel frame. Okay. So we need to offer prayer like Sanatana Goswami, that some or other let our heart be purified. So for us, whatever maybe our conditioning, we should be part of this Prabhupada's mission. We should go out and preach, take up this mission, engage in this service, fully, with whatever strength we have. We should beg for the mercy of the Lord, and the Acharyas go out and preach this message of Krishna consciousness and save the lives of so many people who have no idea about Krishna consciousness, and spread this message of the Bhagavatam. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.